So this session is about accelerating Industry 4.0, digital transformation and AI. I have been covering this industry for last 6 years. And initially, when we used to talk about Industry 4.0 or when we used to talk about IT, because majority of my formative years in journalism, out of say 32 years, almost 26 years was with IT. So I am very glued to this digital transformation, IT transformation, data analytics. And so initially, the industry was very hesitant. Though petrochemical sector and oil and gas sector was glued to it, but chemical industry was very hesitant. They believed more on paper. But now with the complexities that is happening in the industry and the inaugural session, we listened about to all the speakers. Because everything makes a change and you will have to change your strategy accordingly. And I was very impressed when Sureshji talked about the flight path and the pilot and the co-pilot needs to keep on changing the height or to reach the destination. So we will also have to keep on changing our strategies so and that can only happen when you have the dashboard in front of you. If you do not have the dashboard, you can't do much. So everybody, like what we can say, like a power plant has a dashboard, like a telecom tower company has a dashboard to know which tower is working or in which tower which problem is there. So we will also, as a chemical plant, we need to have a dashboard which can tell us about the factory, the smart automated factory, and it will give you an alarm once there is something which is going wrong. So once you deep dive into it, it becomes easy for you to navigate and find out what was the problem. In a similar case, whenever the data center goes wrong, you come to know which chassis or which area the problem is. So to discuss this, we have very eminent speakers out here, one from the chemical sector, one from the oil and gas and petrochemical sector, and the third is a consultant. So I have to speak what we can say very less. And so let us hear from the people out here. So first of all, I would request Anamika ji, if you can talk about some of the projects that you are planning to implement in this financial year with respect to digital transformation and AI, and what is the probable roadblock that you are seeing? I think the probable roadblocks are just getting eliminated because things are getting cumbersome that you have no other option but to choose digital transformation. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Pravin ji. And thank you for coming here. To talk about the projects coming in 26, 27, so one is that scaling up of our applications, projects, activities. So in the past few years, I should say, for last 8 years, I was part of digital transformation team. Now, of course, I have moved to information system strategy and innovation. So basically, we had worked on robotic process automation. So we worked on almost 80 plus automations for different processes in, I should say, almost 18 business units and functions. So one is Pravin ji and of course my fellow colleagues here. So one is that we want to upscale it. We are trying to reach more and more people. So what happens is at times that once people know that more and more people try to come and talk to us. Another thing what happens is that sometimes we are ahead of time because recently like in Refinery Excellence Center, someone spoke ki, madam, we are wanting VR headsets for training. So I said 5 years before we have put in this room number, please go and check it. So there are 5 machines, people are coming and they are getting trained. So like sometimes people are not aware, and then he was saying, ki, is it so? I said, yeah, you can ask your fellow colleagues. Within our premises it is. So I'm not saying ki, people are not knowing, people are knowing sometimes, but they do not understand the technology, so they do not use it. Another thing which we had done last 3-4 years, when ChatGPT came, so we thought of making our own ChatGPTs. So there was like 1 or 2 officers who were very enthused. We worked on internal GPTs using those some GPU cards which we were having for our extended reality systems. And things worked, like people started liking, and then we came out with a tender. Then now we have worked on that platform. We have a fluid AI, generative AI platform. So we worked almost on 50 plus use cases. Most of them are in-house. However, vendor has also built almost 15 to 16 use cases. So we are scaling up that also. So today also, like while I was here, so some people are not aware of my change of my portfolio. So like someone called that we want that AI agent for that. To tell you frankly, ki, scaling up is a big challenge, in the sense ki when more people are using, so our seniors, sometimes they forget ki when we are going for budget, what are they like telling sometimes. But they say, अरे जब मैं गूगल में डालता हूँ तो इतनी फटाक से आता है, तुम्हारा जो HPGPT है उसमें इतना देर क्यों लग रहा है? Like even 15 seconds people are not sometimes ready to understand. So what I would say, Pravin ji and others, ki, like this is one roadblock also. Ki if I want to give that kind of speed, I am using some OpenAI tokens for providing my employees, our employees, the same kind of experience. If I don't use it, at least 100 servers of that capacity will give that experience. And if I want experience for 1 second or 2 seconds speed, then probably more processing power is required. So far, we have not gone on cloud. So that is also one roadblock, I can say. For various reasons, we are critical infrastructure. So slowly we are trying. So that is one part, like which is also another project we can say ki we will be moving on cloud for some of our projects. Third thing, this is third, and fourth is that we have come out with a supply chain optimization tender. So it's not so that we did not have it. We had a solution. So more capacity and something more we will do through that. So since it is just starting, probably more to come when it is implemented. So these are certain things we are working on. Data and analytics in a very big way. We are going to make OT data lake. And in our R&D center also people are making some in-house generative AI systems. However, they are yet to, I should say, get implemented in a big way. So mainly roadblock is one is budget. And another one thing is that since this GPT things, GPT in the sense, GPT not in the verbatim sense, RAG, agentic AI and AI agents. So like I have, I should say in-house only 2 to 3 people who can understand the subject, who actually brought this idea to me and other seniors. So right now we are building those skills. More and more people are learning, and of course nowadays no coding is needed, but still I feel that many more people have to learn that how LLMs work, Because people sometimes forget that control F is not what LLM will give. What control F gives will be always, if I search for car, it will give the results what always result will come. LLMs do not work like that. So one challenge which I say, Praveenji, that people have to start understanding how generative AI, how agentic AI work, or where we need RPAs, where we need data and analytics. Sometimes only portals can do. So we are working in more and more for technologies, and roadblocks are more for like budget and skill development.
Thank you, madam,
Thank you.
for explaining it in detail. Krishnakumar ji, recently you have expanded your factory in Karnataka, and you are moving in, say, digital transformation in a big way. So if you can talk about your plans, which will help your company, the Epsilon Group, move forward as fast as possible.
Yeah, so Epsilon digital strategy is built on 3 pillars. The first pillar is connected operations. So that is very important vision for our organization. The second pillar is data-driven decision making. So we want today all decisions which is happening on gut feel. We want to make sure we have a proper data, and based on data we are taking decision. The third pillar is cyber resiliency. So these are the 3 pillars on which our digital strategy is built. This year also we had planned a lot of digital initiatives. So last year our focus was finance function. This year we are focusing on operations. In the first strategic initiative for the current year is to give AI. So unlike other large organization who has a large IT team, they can build their GPT. But we as a small organization, okay, where we have lean IT team, we work on the strategy more to buy rather than build. And we are going to roll out enterprise-wide chat GPT license to our people so that they can improve their productivity. They can use chat GPT for the content creations and reporting. That is one of the important strategic initiative for this year. Second, on the industry 4.0, we want to build a data lake where all the systems can be connected, whether it is MES or SCADA system, whether it is a quality management system or SAP system, so that we will have a central visibility for our shop floor operations in terms of quality, in terms of energy efficiency. So all can be consumed from the data lake. The third aspects which we are talking about is the predictive analytics. So we want to use analytics so that we can improve our forecast accuracy. We can improve the inventory management and bring production planning efficiency. So these are the 3 main strategic initiatives for this year. All these are built on cybersecurity principle, which we follow as a zero trust principle, where we have a proper control or tools to monitor the identity, protect the identity from the thefts. Plus endpoint securities also we had implemented. Plus we are trying to make sure our people are trained about cybersecurity awareness. So those all the aspects we are trying to cover as a part of our digital transformation journey. If I talk about challenges, so some of the challenges I can talk about is the ROI on digital. So how do we really prove the ROI, where some of the initiatives are directly able to prove the ROI, but some of the initiatives has really a lot of indirect benefits. So how do we account, how do we present those value to the organization or the management is something very important aspects. The second thing is, as we are connecting IT and OT together, there are cyber risk which is emerging. So how do we handle those challenges?
Thank you, sir. Nitika, you have been doing a lot of consultancy work on digital transformation for large as well as mid-level companies. So what has been your journey in terms of digital transformation and how it can be accelerated? And areas where Indian companies need to work upon so that they can reap benefit in the short term, medium term, and long term, because they are very concerned about the short term rather than the long term one, because everybody knows in the long term they are going to benefit. But how can you package it in such a way that in the short term they can benefit out of it? Sound, please. Sound.
Yes, this is working. Thank you, Pravin ji, and glad to be here. I know, Pravin ji, you mentioned, I mean, chemical industry has not been one of the forerunners when it comes to adoption of digital technology. But if you look at it now, right, at least, 70-80% of companies I speak to would say that they are doing something or the other on digital, right? And that's what we've seen even globally. But at the same time, if we ask the question, have you really got real business impact out of digital analytics, IR 4.0? I mean, 80% of people would hesitate in thumping the table and saying, yes, I have got real business impact, right? And I think that's where probably the challenge arises, right? I personally, and as part of the work I lead at McKinsey, and also my organization has been part of some of the, at-scale transformation journeys with World Economic Forum lighthouses, right? Just maybe 1 minute on WEF lighthouses. So for folks who may not know, World Economic Forum every year certifies a handful of manufacturing sites who have done distinctive work in adopting, IR 4.0 and have really scaled the impact through that, right? There are only about 250 sites globally who have been certified till date, of which there are only 3 sites in chemicals industry which have been certified. And incidentally, 2 of them are in India, right? So, what a coincidence, right? And, when WEF certifies sites, they look at 3 things. I mean, they look at a lot of things. There's a large, whatever, form that you have to fill, right? But there are 3 parameters which are given a lot of importance. And the reason I'm bringing it here is that there is a little bit of a learning we can take from the way they view this, right? The first thing that they measure, right, is what has been the real business impact from everything that you're talking about in your digital journey, right? I think one of the things that Krishnakumar ji, you pointed out, the ROI of digital. If you cannot show the ROI, it's of no use when it comes to WEF sort of certification, right? So they look at, of course, the dollar value impact, but also shifts in real operating metrics, and that is given the absolute highest weightage, right? The second thing which is evaluated is the number of people who have been upskilled and reskilled as part of this process, right? So capability building on shop floor is an equally important parameter. And then the third thing is actually the extent of technology. Are you using the most cutting edge technology? Like some of this year's Lighthouse sort of result just came a couple of weeks ago, and there most of the sites are talking about Gen AI, agentic, and so on, right? But that is the third thing. The biggest thing is, has there been a real financial impact or not, right? And so just drawing learnings from here, if I look at, my own journey of companies who have really delivered impact versus, companies who have been on this journey, they would have done pilots, but probably can't say confidently that I have derived significant business impact. I would say 3 things which are important. I think number 1, instead of starting from what technology can I deploy, what data lake do I want to build, start with what is my real business problem statement that I want to fix, and can it be fixed with data and technology, right? So I would flip the problem and I would start with what is my business problem or opportunity and how do I enable it with data and technology, right? And if you do so, at least my experience is that most of the analytics initiatives would pay for itself in a year or 2 time frame, right? So, I mean, of course, some digital initiatives are difficult to justify ROI, and you have to do a smart clubbing of putting some analytics, something on top of it to justify the ROI, right? That is number 1. I think the second thing is, if you're spending $1 on technology, you have to spend an equal dollar on upskilling and reskilling your people, because unless you do that, the technology will be lying on the side. People will not, adopt it, and it will not really drive the impact. And I think the third learning is that at least in my experience, the top-down push is very, very important. If this is not the top 2 priority or top 3 priority for the CEO, for the top of the leadership in your organization, it's very hard to drive adoption, right? Then, so I think these are the 3 learnings. I think if I look at, probably just last point on short-term, medium-term, long-term, right? I think if you're just starting on the journey, in short-term, I would say, pick up a few areas where there is a clear ROI and use that to then build the data lake and a case for transformation, right? But in the medium to long term, I think having a good data backbone is, of course, the starting point, right? But often than not, what I see is that if you have a few use cases which are justifying the ROI for that digital investment, it becomes easier to make the case at the broader level. So start there. And I think the second thing I would say is skill building, right? How are you thinking about sort of upskilling, reskilling, so that your operators actually understand how to see the data and use the dashboards that you've so I think really investing behind building the talent and skills is the second thing.
And Nitika, how this industry will catch up with the others? You said only 3 from the chemical sector and 2 from India. So globally there is only 1. Except India.
Yeah, there is.
Which means globally also there are no case studies on the WEF lighthouse approach.
I think that is absolutely the right observation, right? So like I mentioned, I think chemicals industry, when it comes to really adopting IR40 has probably not been the front runner, right? I think if I look at India, I think the first WEF lighthouse in India, if I'm not wrong, was Tata Steel Kalinganagar, right? So, we saw some of the heavy industries adopting it. We also saw some of the pharmaceutical companies. I think Dr. Reddy's has one of the sites certified in India. CED got their halal plant certified last year, right? So some of the more sort of heavier industries were probably the front runners in adopting. Now we are seeing a lot of emphasis on this in chemical sector, right? Like, for example, I was talking to some of my China colleagues, right? And China, as we all know, very, very cost competitive, right? When it comes to chemicals industry, they compete. I mean, of course, we see them as someone who are driving the price down. But internally, within China itself, chemical sector just compete with each other and drive each other down when it comes to cost and price, right? And we are seeing a lot of adoption of, even robotics, right? Automation, robotics, given the labor cost is higher and is rising in China, and a lot of emphasis on adoption of digital. So things are changing, and I'm hoping that WEF certification would also reflect the same.
Thank you, Nitika. So now I come to Anamika ji. You have been using IoT and digital twins in a big way to mitigate supply chain risk and other activities in your company. In a volatile market, how are you effectively using data analytics to optimize raw material usage and navigate supply chain constraints?
So Pravin ji, basically for supply chain, we have one is that we are using data and analytics in, I should say, big ways, though again, there are numbers like how many dashboards we have and all that. Then, as I was telling in the, like when I was describing about my first question, so we have come out with a supply chain optimization implementation like tender. So that is one part, but of course it is in use supply chain for visibility of what we have and what we do not. So if I may tell you, so 1 second. I was just thinking I'll have some data so that I can talk. So basically, another point what I would like to tell is that in our Vizag refinery and Mumbai refinery, we have implemented real-time optimizers. So like it is not complete, but we have implemented for I think 5 to 6 units. Before that, we did a POC for RTO. Of course, that was from a different company. And now for other units, it is in process. So like we may have to come out with a new tender to get into it. Another thing is that we have recently, like when I was talking about that agentic AI thing, so we have built AI agent for our lube stock monitoring also. So earlier, which was taking a huge lot of time to wherever some issue is there, now I think it is coming in 15 minutes. So that visibility we got. Then we have developed and deployed also when Gen AI based PIDS alarm analysis. So of course PIDS alarms, that one PIDS system is already in place for many years. So analysis of that is also now being done through using generative AI. Then there is one automated fleet monitoring which we are doing for our LPG fleet. So like this through call center, automated call goes to those drivers in overspeeding and other different exceptions. So those are few things, Pravinji, which we have done. And of course, for crude procurement and refinery planning, so we have one AI-driven crude assay assistant, which is trained on almost 17,000 plus crude oil parameters. And officers can query those parameters and get the details done. So as of now, this is the situation. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I come to Krishnakumar ji. The successes you have achieved in moving from reactive maintenance to predictive maintenance using IoT data and data analytics, particularly in reducing downtime. And how has this been effective?
Yeah, so actually, as an organization, our maintenance department was reactive and we used to do preventive maintenance. But this year we had decided to put up IoT sensors on the critical equipment, and which will really help to measure 6 different critical parameters of the utility equipment, and which will help us to detect the anomalies early so that we can predict the failure. So that is the vision on which we are working. We were, we had planned to roll out this for entire manufacturing plant, which we are at Vijayanagar. And this will really help our business to reduce unplanned downtime. Plus, if they detect early failure, they can take the maintenance activity along with the planned downtime. And then this will help us to improve overall equipment efficiency.
Thank you, sir. Now I come to Anamika ji. You talked about cyber security. So somehow or the other, you will have to put things out of the company, or out of the factory. So how are you going to minimize these threats? Because these are what we can say company specific, and they are also very and they are also very innovative things which are very close to the company, but when you have to put it in a cloud, so how will you monitor them and try to minimize those cybersecurity threats? What measures you are taking, ma'am?
Okay. So as I understand, you are talking of that when we move to cloud, what measures we have to take
What precautions you need to take
for precautions. So this was one of the biggest, I should say, concern when while we did not go to cloud, and we are still not. Only this is a plan, as I explained. So one is that we are taking a measure. I should say we are talking to the vendors who have their data centers in India, so that we can host our services on those data centers. So that is one part. Secondly, we are planning to have, means this is only a plan so far, so we are planning to have certain, like I should say, champions kind of, who will be probably or on the like data center, they will be having their postings. So that is second part. Third is that we will be having some monitoring mechanisms so that if at all anything and everything, whatever is happening, we can have a look. Fourth, what I would means I would recommend, I am saying ki, which is in going on. So when almost 10, 12 years back, of course, all of you might be aware that there is one remote SOC concept. SOC is Security Operations Center, as we all know. So one such thing is also in offing, that we will be having one remote SOC thing kind of, which is going to monitor our cloud related applications. So these are the things which we plan to do as of now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I come to Nitika. You said that $1 on technology will also lead to $1 on skill upgradation. And you also talked about lighthouse examples where we are only having 2. So that means we need to have more skilled person who can improve our digital adoption rate in factories or in chemical plants, so that we get an edge vis-a-vis China. So how are you, what according to you are the companies needs to do so that they can bridge the skill and talent gaps in terms of digital transformation and AI adoption?
I think talent gap is a real challenge, not just in the chemicals industry, right, but overall in the manufacturing industry, right? And at least, one of the biggest learnings that we have had, right, in all of these WEF transformations or the at-scale transformations that we have been part of, as we started to put together a center of excellence for digital analytics, we started to hit the roadblock on where do you find the talent from, right? Because, you don't have it, but the industry does not have it either. And one of our biggest learnings was that, you can actually really reskill, upskill a large part of this talent, right? So, in most of the COEs, we were able to, 70% of this, 70-80% of the people in the COE, we were able to identify within the organization, and we were able to reskill them for these sort of specialized roles, right? And then only some specialized roles like data scientists, which are doing very heavy models, and some of the data engineers and architects we had to hire from outside, right? So if I take example, the instrumentation engineers, for example, we were able to retrain on, IT, OT, even data engineering skills, right? In one of the cases, the company we were working with had a pretty significant business analytics team. We sort of we took a test for about 50 of the business analytics team members and identified 10 who had a good understanding and acumen for data visualization and data understanding, and we put them through a data scientist training, right? And in fact, we were surprised 2-3 of them actually turned out to be really good at that, right? They eventually became coaches. So I think reskilling, your organization identified people who have acumen, interest for data technology, and reskilling was one way to bridge the gap. I think the second learning was also training your operators, right? Because you need the domain experts to actually understand data. And when that happens in the organization, that's when the real scale up happens, right? So we picked up, the operators, managers, domain experts who again had inclination for understanding technology, and we took them through what we call translator training, right? Translators are people who understand the domain, understand the data, and are able to bridge that gap, right? So you take a business problem and you translate that into a data problem, and then your data scientists work on it. So I think, that was one journey that you really focus on upskilling, reskilling your existing talent in a structured, systematic way, right? And I would go back to, if you're early in the journey and you don't have so many sort of projects running, you're constrained on budgets, you can start with a few, I wouldn't say pilot, but a few high value projects which can then build that confidence in the organization that this can be done, right? I mean, that, if your own people speak about success, that always goes a long way versus, an external party coming and telling you about this. So that's been a bit of the journey.
And are they looking at cooperative model where instead of in-house, they look at an outsourced model for taking the skill gap that they do have?
Say more, Pravin, a little bit. Like
what I'm saying that if the skill is not within the company, are they looking at, say, outsourcing it to a company so that they can take the skill up, and once the people in the team get skilled, then you move to the next process accordingly?
No, I think good point. See, I think for specific technology solutions, there are companies and you can take sort of help from outside, and you should in the beginning of the journey, right? But I think at least sort of two parts answer to that, right? I think one, you can outsource, but if your teams don't learn it, it doesn't scale in my view, right? So you have to, even if you're sort of taking help from outside, like when we also do, I am a consultant myself, right? We are also external in that sense. But when we are also working at a client, we always ask our clients to ensure that your data scientists are in a way mirroring my data scientists, so they can learn on the job while we are working on the initial 1 or 2 waves, right? So you can take help from outside, do that, but at the same time ensure that your people are learning in that process. That's the only way it will scale. And I think with the new technology that we have at hand, right? Coding has also become much more easier, right? It's, most of the stuff can be done at low code, no code platforms. So, it's no longer as whatever technical as it used to sound as specialists. So I think that's the journey that you will have to take.
Sir, Krishna ji, if you can talk about, there are not many people in IT and OT integration. And that's a very difficult subject, because on the one hand, you have an instrumentation engineer. On the other hand, you are to club it with the computer engineer who focuses on data analytics. And then you also need to have historical data with it. Then only you can do a comparison and come up with something, a model, which will be helpful for your company in the long run. So how are you balancing the two in terms of skill gap and see that you benefit from the overall?
Yeah, so any digital project is a co-creation. So co-creation from business who has a domain expertise, then there's a partner who is really hand-holding our team which is not aware about the technology, and then IT. So all the people have to work together and contribute to the project. And during this entire process, two things happen. I think it is a good learning opportunity for all the people. So the person from the shop floor who doesn't know the technology or digital, he learns the digital and technology. Okay, so that is the way we generally impart digital and AI knowledge in our organization. That is where our people gets upskilled. And once the people gets upskilled, I think we want to have that culture in the organization. So we have a program where we reward the individual or team who is really using digital and AI solution to transform their functions, or adopt these solutions for their day-to-day life. So this is the another aspects by which we are trying to bridge those gaps. And cyber security is one area where when we talk about IT-OT integration, I think IT, the technology upgrades happens very frequently. However, in OT, you don't have so frequent upgrade of the technology. So there are a lot of vulnerabilities in the OT network by the pace at which the OT technology upgrades. So we should have a proper a zero trust kind of architecture, and we want to make sure that there's no direct connectivity of IT and OT. It has to be done through either firewall or data diode kind of a technology.
Thank you, sir. Nitika, from Lighthouse, let us move to Industry 5.0, where human-robot collaboration would be the future by 2030. How do you see Indian companies embracing them in more of a hazardous area, not to replace, say, the employees, the factory staff? So where do you see those things?
No, I think, IR 5.0 is still sort of early days, I would say, for Indian companies, right? And I think there are a lot of myths also floating around, right? And we keep hearing dark factories, lights out factories, and so on. I think one thing which is very clear is that, it's not, IR 5.0 is not about robots or AI replacing humans in any ways, right? That is not what IR 5.0 is. In fact, there is going to be a new shift in the operating model where there will be a different level of collaboration and orchestration between humans and machine in IR 5.0, right? In the current context, in IR 4.0, the focus was a lot on connecting, automating, and then sort of enabling the decision making. As we move to IR 5.0, the focus will be a lot more on resilience and innovation, right? And the shift that we are seeing is, I think, 2-3 things, right? One, the agents, AI or robots are going to take away tasks which humans actually should not do, right? Be it hazardous tasks, be it repetitive tasks, or just like monitoring data, right? And waiting for an alarm to go off, right? These are the kind of tasks which will move to machines, whether it's a robot or an AI. And humans will start to play a very different role of actually being an orchestrator, right? Orchestrator of different agents which are sort of doing the job for the human, or, even just sort of validating the recommendations of the AI agents and then taking the final call, right? And then ensuring that safety and sustainability are kind of paramount, right? And that will be the accountability that will remain with the human. So I think that is the shift that we are going to see. And, in the world of IR 4.0, the measure of success was extent of automation. I think it will move towards extent of augmentation in IR 5.0, right? How well our machines and agents and robots are augmenting humans to do things which was not possible by either of them alone, right, in the previous era. I think that's the direction that I see the industry moving.